Hey, caterpillars. Ooh, somebody's caterpillars and butterflies is what I'm going to open with today. Anyway, Sleeping Bear. Now, is that a new person? Wrong account. Well, hello, Randolph. Hi, Sleeping Bear.
Well, they have a channel.
Oh, Danish Debater. All right, because we're going to be talking a little bit. Well, Cell did a thing with Danish Debater, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I wish I had Danish Debater's email. I would invite him in to talk about a few things. Did a really good job at talking to Cell, I think.
Hey, Randolph.
And yeah, okay. So we got a couple of things, but I wanted to kind of open with. Who?
Oh, I said we have content.
Yeah, we have some content. We don't have much content. I mean, don't get them excited.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we want to keep expectations really low.
Really low, right?
Oh,
yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so Rebecca had Nazimus on, and he was very amused at how animated she got over this. But I just run into this little part here that I thought we should review, and I want to get your impression of this because she says some things that I have never heard of before. Exactly. I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but the very first thing she said is the most accurate thing that she says for the entire, 2 minutes that I'm going to play it. So,
okay,
let's go ahead and play it.
Said, no, it doesn't work. Here's why. And then, okay, so, I don't have the scientific expertise to go into the details on that.
She should have stopped right there.
I mean,
but this is not.
Okay.
Young Earth creationists saying this. This is not Christian saying this. These are scientists criticizing this pillar of this theory. Okay. Then, in order for the Big Bang to work, you have to have dark matter. And dark matter is something absolutely made up. There is no observational evidence for it. What they will say is, oh, but the math, but it is completely circular reasoning because what they did,
go back a few seconds.
That if there,
I want to hear that. I want to hear that again. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll save my response till the end.
Absolutely made up. There is no observational evidence for it. What they will say is, oh, but the math works. But it is completely circular reasoning because what they did is they realized that if there wasn't some other factor, okay, at play, the Big Bang was not going to work. So they made up dark matter. They made the math fit. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Sure. And so we have no observational evidence for dark matter. So we're supposed to suddenly believe that the majority of the matter in the universe is absolutely unobservable. I'm sorry, guys. If you believe that, why are you complaining that I believe in God? That's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. So, there's so many goddamn things that are like.
Yes.
First of all.
Dark matter with like the antimatter matter question, like
maybe,
there's a question about why do we have matter and not more antimatter? It should equal out,
that is an unsolved problem right now, but this is working on it.
Yeah, they never really worked like you said before we started, Speed. They never really factored dark matter into the.
It wasn't part. The Big Bang, as the Big Bang theory, has been around for how long? 50, 60, 70 years,
something like that. Yeah,
and Okay, dark matter's been around since we observed it. Scientists did not want to find dark matter. They didn't do it to make math up. They observed it. They found something that they looked at it.
We'll see. Here's the thing. Okay, so there are two things with that. First, the kind of first person to come up with this idea that there was this invisible substance out there, or at least something we couldn't detect currently, that made up the majority of matter in the universe, was an astronomer named Fritz Zwicky, and he was studying the Coma cluster of galaxies, and he found out, and this is actually one piece of evidence for dark matter, and it isn't even the strongest piece of evidence, to be honest, that if he looked at just the visible mass in the cluster, okay, just what he could see from the light from the stars, the gas, whatnot, the galaxies, individual galaxies, were moving too fast for the gravity that was there from the visible mass to keep it all together. Or to put it another way, there wasn't enough mass to accelerate the rest of it to those speeds. So either way, you got a bit of a problem there. Now he proposed this dark matter idea. I forget the term he used originally, but it translates to dark matter. And his ideas were, despite what Rebecca is saying here, not taken terribly seriously at first. And in fact, once the evidence started coming in, okay, there's more mass than we can currently detect, the first idea on people's mind was this idea called machos, which was basically like neutron stars, black holes,
with cheese.
Like normal matter that we just couldn't detect very easily. But as we looked into it and said, okay, if this stuff is there, we should see it bending the light around it more in the galaxy, and there are other things we should expect if this matter is here, because even if the normal matter is hard to detect, it's still detectable by something. It's like it's not completely invisible. We know how to detect things, and we just don't see evidence for that. And in fact, if you go by some of the other pieces of evidence for dark matter, you find that it can't be what's called baryonic matter, or matter made of protons and neutrons and whatnot. So what Rebecca is saying there, and the Big Bang Theory was proposed around the same time, the 1930s, but it wasn't taken very seriously until the 1950s and 1960s, once the predictions it made started getting confirmed, basically. So pretty much everything she's saying there is just...
And also, as was mentioned earlier by one of you guys, the fact that there are galaxies that seem to spin normally if you don't even try to take into account dark matter. Like they only have what I guess you would call standard matter. I don't know what they call it. In that galaxy, and so they seem to be spinning at a predictable rate. So you have both a negative example, and you also have a kind of a positive example in that we can account for all the matter in some galaxies, but not others.
Right. And that's actually a piece of evidence against these alternative ideas of modified gravity, basically, because if you think about it, if gravity just works differently at different galactic scales, basically, and that's what explains this needed mass that we seem to be needing. If that were the case, then it should apply in all situations. But here, as you're saying, there is a galaxy that seems to have pretty much 0 to very little dark matter, and that's evidence that, okay, dark matter is probably a particle that can get kind of swept off a galaxy in certain rare situations, and not some kind of modified gravity law. Basically.
I want to make something really clear. Okay, observation. you cannot see or interact with dark matter, so that we cannot see it directly, right?
Right.
Okay. But we know it's there. It was observed because the effects were observed.
Right.
So if you see a ball basically moving at some speed and it deflects some other object with a certain force, you don't see that the lead atoms in the middle of the ball, but you can infer that it has the density of lead because of the momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this bullshit that we don't observe it is just got to stop, Rebecca. I mean, it's ridiculous. To be clear, when you look at something through a microscope, through a lens, you're not really observing it. It's the light is being bent and twisted, and you're not actually observing things with instruments.
Well, even given that, and like going back to cosmology,
you don't observe voltage in batteries, okay?
Right.
You
Well,
fucking
how are
measure.
you going to know if a room is radioactive or not?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to observe radiation.
You can't observe radiation.
Right.
I mean, how many? God damn it, people. Okay, so
I mean,
then,
even if we define like observation to be like seeing with visible light, like what I was saying before, like most of the even normal matter in the universe is gas and dust that we can't see except through like radio light, through X-rays, which isn't what we usually mean by, okay, we're seeing something. Right. So does that count as unobservable? Because then even by Rebecca's criterion, then most of the normal matter in the universe is still unobservable.
So, to give Rebecca a break here, she's been reading stuff and listening to Cell say things that have got her, that got her off on this track that we made up the math and that we need dark matter for the Big Bang Theory, which we don't, because dark matter happened quite a while after the whole Big Bang thing. And it's just, it's not something that you need for the Big Bang Theory. And the other thing, her and Cell have been going on about that's kind of driving me crazy. Who cares about the fucking Big Bang? I mean, it doesn't disprove evolution and prove God if the Big Bang, if something else happened, if we're wrong about the Big Bang, right? So
I mean, even if dark matter didn't exist, and we're pretty sure it does, but even if it didn't exist, the core predictions of the Big Bang would still be true.
Yeah. And in fact, the Big Bang is more in keeping with the creation idea that God created it, right? Than not having the Big Bang. If we had a steady state universe all the way back or something else happened, some other model, the Big Bang I mean, a lot of religious people were very excited about the Big Bang because it looked exactly like God creating the universe, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, why are they picking on
models of the Big Bang?
Why is Cell and Rebecca picking on it? What are they getting out of this? I don't know what they're up to. It's bizarre.
I'm honestly curious if Sal actually knows where the Big Bang came from, because for pretty much everyone who's studied cosmology, that the Big Bang Theory in its original concept came from a Christian priest, or a Jesuit priest, Georges Lemaitre. So, like you were saying, it's not against Christianity in any way. In fact, it was devised based on mathematics by a Christian.
Right, and Cell keeps bringing up these physicists that were in college when were his teachers, and a couple of them had criticisms of the Big Bang Theory, which I don't even know if there is such a thing as a Big Bang Theory. Isn't it called something entirely different?
It's sometimes called the theory, sometimes called the model. It depends who you ask.
Okay.
There are multiple ways of defining the term Big Bang anyway, when like some people refer to it as the actual initial singularity, at least by the simplest.
Leo has something he calls it too. I never can remember. I'll ask him to tell me about it. Tell me what the name of it is, and then then I forget because it's just a long name.
So James Apperson. But then Rebecca changes her mind. Oh wait, he believed in God. In that case, his belief in things we can't see is pretty reasonable. Pretty good. Yeah. But then, okay, no, then Rebecca, okay, the part where she said, let's see, oh my goodness, the part where she said this.
I don't have the scientific expertise to go into the details on that.
Okay, now, yet she presumes to be able to tell mathematicians. She's going to tell physicists and cosmologists and all the scientists. She's going to tell them, "Oh, you're using circular reasoning. You're making math up." Okay, who? How? What? No.
Isn't there a
No,
gas
Rebecca.
that is like a heavy gas or something? A heavy gas or an inert gas that, like if it collects in your basement or something like that, you can suffocate.
Radon.
Yeah,
Radon. Oh, wow.
and you have to get detectors for that. And so
Carbon monoxide.
that's something you can't directly observe.
Carbon monoxide, yeah, carbon monoxide, yeah. And radon you can't observe, and radon gives you cancer over years.
Right.
So,
so
there's just so many ways you can approach and counter this whole argument.
But what needs to happen is Rebecca needs to actually read up on the topic and not be going off the gut reactions of a skewed perspective that Sal gives you, because he is just totally committed to anti-science and total creationism, young earth creationism. And this is just an example where his influence on Rebecca is just causing her to make some pretty far off conclusions, shall we say, about the real world. And you can even see in here our resident Christian poet Stephanie is falling for the same thing, it's just not the same thing as making it up. It's doing what you do when there's something affecting your world, but it's not visible, smellable, hearable, or I guess tasteable. I've never licked dark matter, so maybe it tastes like chili. I don't know, but
tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. But there are scientific approaches to things that are unseen, and you have to ask yourself, okay, are the methods being employed, are they reasonable? Maybe read up a little bit before you determine that it's all made up just to make the math work or something.
Now, if we want to talk about mathematics real quick, it turns out, and this is partially my own biased opinion here, but basically it's the reason cosmologists accept the idea of dark matter is not because they want to. It's an ugly idea, putting on more matter in the universe.
I know.
See, but the fact is, it's the simplest answer to all the observations we can see. Like, there are smart people, cosmologists even, who are trying to come up with alternatives, to figure out, okay, is this the only answer? Or are there other ways we can solve this problem? So they're doing actual research, but what they're finding is, in order to make the math work without dark matter, you have to kind of come up with more exotic fields, lots of exotic mathematics that we're currently not sure are limited by known physics yet. Like, it's at least in my opinion, and I'm sure many cosmologists I've talked to, it's much more complicated to explain the universe without dark matter than to simply say, okay, there's a particle or a couple particles that we can't detect by electromagnetic radiation.
It was inconvenient, and we observed it, and we had to live with it, basically. So we got to figure it out.
Exactly. We didn't just put it on there because we wanted to.
Because we needed it to keep the Big Bang alive as a delusion. It's just like, no, it had nothing to do with any of that. God, Rebecca, go read something besides creationist literature. My goodness. Anyway, okay, so now Sal, in the last 20 minutes of his show, or what is it, 30? Yeah. So do you have any idea where you want to start on this Cherry Fields thing? This is the cherry.
I guess we should just start from the beginning, cover it in depth.
Okay, so how does the galaxy keep their shape over billions of years? Dust in a bucket. So it kind of starts right there, right? So let's see if I
think when I first heard this, I'm pretty sure I think he goes into it more as we'll see, but I'm pretty sure it's related to the issue some young Earth creationists bring up, which is, if spiral galaxies have these spiral arms, how did they last billions of years? And so, I doubt, I guess.
One of those things. Okay.
All of them. But I did have something that I was going to talk about.
I did watch this clip of it.
Some of you may know I haven't.
You watch what?
I said I did watch the clip you sent me. I just want to rewatch this bit.
Okay.
Academic channel called the Evidence Reasons Academy, or ER Academy for short. The problem with geocentrism, the bent pencil, and I'm just going to let me delete the.
Well, him and his bent pencil.
Some of my open tabs here.
I wish he quit talking about his pencil.
Bent pencil is going to be my next channel.
Okay, so to Dustin's question, I happen to have something here. Galaxy formation and evolution. So let's look at this. The study of galaxy formation and evolution is concerned with the process that formed a heterogeneous universe from a homogeneous beginning. The formation of the galaxies, the way galaxies change over time, and the processes that have generated a variety of structures observed in nearby galaxies. Okay, now I'm just going to skip something.
Oh my. Let's see if I can speed this up a little bit.
From the Wikipedia entry. Let me make it a little bigger.
First place I go.
I'm going to highlight here. There are different theories on how these disk-like distributions of stars develop from a cloud of matter. However, at present, none of them exactly predicts the results of observation.
So what? Like with this new telescope, we're going to be able to start doing some real work in that area.
Right.
And we found a whole hell of a lot.
It's the same thing with any scientific field. Like, it's not going to explain everything or everything exactly, for that matter. That doesn't mean it's wrong necessarily.
Yeah, he's just gloating because we don't know exactly how galaxies form. And now with James Webb, they're finding all sorts of new kinds of crazy shit going on out there that's going to modify a lot of theories. And we know that. And we knew that was coming. I mean, that's why they put the telescope up there, right? Anyway. Go ahead.
In case he is talking about spiral galaxies here, because he does mention disk galaxies, so I'm pretty sure that's what he's referring to. So I posted a link in the private chat, if you could share that for a moment, please. Because it kind of refutes his claim that there's no research going into this actively, or that we have absolutely no idea what we're talking about here. To be fair, this is fairly recent. It's 2013. Puzzle of how spiral galaxies get their arms comes into focus. This is, of course, a news article, but you can probably find the original paper. And what if you go down and read it through, eventually they talk about how the spiral arms are not only stable, they're energetically favorable, and they probably come about as a result of these molecular clouds, basically these stellar nurseries of gas and dust within the galaxy, kind of perturbing it, causing these density fluctuations, and they propagate. And as the galaxy matures, they say it's not just a temporary thing. It lasts for a pretty long time. So it's not that we don't have any idea whatsoever about how these structures form. We actually do.
What does this highlighted part say here? The answers to these and other questions are now coming into focus? What? That means that we're like starting to get a handle on this stuff? Yeah. Kind of the opposite of what he said, basically, or what the wiki said, right? You go to the wiki for your final, I mean, that is absolute final proof of anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the wiki is one hell of a valuable tool, and it is probably the first thing you should start with, but you should never.
It isn't the end all be all.
No, you don't ever want to stop at the wiki.
Right.
You don't ever want to stop there. But God, it is. I mean, it's a wonderful tool, and everybody should donate to them because they're barely surviving, basically, and everybody uses that thing.
Yeah, I donate to them like once or twice a year,
Yeah,
especially around Christmas.
Yeah. Anyway, so the answer. So anything else on this? I linked this in the description for people to check out.
Nope. If you want to continue.
Okay.
With the video.
Yes. I don't know if I could take this.
Odin exactly predicts the results of observation. So if that was a rhetorical question, I actually agree with you. And since apparently no one has a model, at least from a naturalistic standpoint, I don't think I can answer that question. Because if they don't know, I certainly don't.
Pause.
No one has a model.
No one has a model.
People have models. That's why they're saying that. Well, the observations don't match what the models are predicting or whatever. Also, does he understand what naturalistic is? Naturalistic doesn't mean strict observation only. It means that your view of the world is that natural processes account for what's happening.
Right.
Now, if he's trying to say that God is the one holding the galaxies together with his, strong fingers and thumb, then maybe
God basically put his index finger into the galaxy milkshake and spun it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's worse than that. Okay, naturalistic or naturalism or methodological naturalism, we don't know what natural is yet. That's what we're investigating in physics, right? We don't know the bottom answers to, how a natural cosmos works. So methodological naturalism takes what we do know, what we can observe, what we can infer and prove very rationally and carefully, right? And projects it and tries to find answers to questions. And when we don't find answers to questions, then we modify naturalism just a bit to fit whatever in the hell's going on, because we don't know the bottom turtle in the cosmos right now. And we're a long way away from knowing that. So, I mean, you know what I mean? So when they say naturalistic explanations, no one is absolutely fixed on our current body of knowledge being able to explain everything. We know that our body of knowledge is going to change. It's going to modify. And we also know that one of those changes is not going to be the fucking Bible. It's going to be physics. It's not going to be the fucking Bible. It's not going to be religion. It's not going to be God. It's going to be something else.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm a little ramped up. I'm a little
I'm glad.
You're so emotional.
I'm so emotional.
You're typically not this emotional with this topic. So
well, I have a new kitty, so I got to be. I'm going to try to find him and put him on camera.
That again accords with. I related the anecdote with me and Dr. Treffel. He wrote the 5 reasons galaxies can't exist. So,
who the hell is that?
It's an astronomer, I think, but I'll bet you anything it's not what Sal is implying here.
Well, let's just look that up. Can't exist.
It's probably the 5 reasons galaxies shouldn't exist for intuitional purposes, but here's why they do.
Okay, I can't find. Okay, 5 reasons we think dark matter exists. I can't. Okay, did he say Dr. Drexel?
Dr. James Treffel.
How do you spell that?
Trefil. Try that.
Okay, the
I
dark
think I've
side of
heard
the
of his name
universe.
before.
Oh, 5 reasons. Okay, Dr. Treffel. Here we go. Amazon.
I
Oh,
actually have one of his books.
it is a book. It is a book. Hardcover from $1.49. How about that? Paperback is only $15. Should I buy that? I'm going to buy that.
Oh no.
I'm buying that. I bought it. Okay. Oh God, why did you guys let me do this?
How do you spell his name?
Trefil.
So what's his first name?
James.
James Treffel. Okay, I'm going to go back and see if I can find, let's see, customer reviews, Dark Side of the Universe. I don't want to link the Amazon thing, but I want to link something. Let's see here,
Real quick,
Goodreads.
has James Apperson been in chat before? I don't recognize that name.
Oh yeah, he's
He comes around.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and link a link to the book, and just so that we have it in the description. So, let's see. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that when we look into this book, we're not going to find that Dr. Treffel is saying that God did it.
Right.
What do you think?
I'll make a similar prediction.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Moving on.
So that's I was going to cover that a little bit. And Danish debater asked, oh yeah, the trip that I had went really well, and and I gave a trip report. You'll see something that this was in light of some of the earlier presentations.
He did his talk on the protein orchard or whatever, and oh my God, Sal. And I actually asked him not to do this because as much as I'm beginning to dislike this fella, I did not want to see him embarrass himself like that.
Why do you think he would listen to you?
I know. But I mean, I've got like millions of biology and genetics and molecular biology books here, and not one of them. And I could grab them and start throwing them around and look in the index. Not one of them said there's a common protein ancestor. Common protein ancestor. Not in this book, not in that book, not in any of the books I have. I've never fucking heard of this before, but he thinks that he came up with a criticism that it couldn't happen, and somehow he's overturning evolution with it. And no one ever thought that there was a common protein ancestor. Oh my God, it's just... Okay, I'm going to calm down now.
Calm down.
Since I said I had to address some of these issues, and so
and pencils.
So for the I had to incorporate. I promised some people I'd incorporate the material. So let me see. So that was galaxy formation. There is something I need to cover with the surface. All right. So I'm going to go a little bit full nerd on you guys here. There is, we'll often hear something called...
Many a times when I hear Sal saying, I'm going to go full nerd, it turns out to be, I'm going to show you what I want to show you.
Yeah. And, he keeps talking about how boring all this is. I mean, if you're bored by itself, pick another field. I'm not bored by it. And knock it off with the fucking nerd stuff because you really don't do it all that well. So, I'm getting excited again. Okay.
The redshift. So when we talk about observations, we'll say something is X amount of redshift. And you can convert the amount of redshift to help calculate the age of an object.
No, he does say age here, but I think he corrects himself later and says distance, so props on him for that. Because redshift isn't directly associated with age, it's distance, and the light travel time is associated with the age, so.
Yeah, I better make this bigger so people can see his diagram.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, okay, I got the wrong. There we go. Okay, so what the hell's he got here? So did you want to comment on this part? Or
no, I think he actually did a decent job on this.
Okay.
Real quick comment. I was looking in some of the titles. that James Trefle has authored, and I ran across a audiobook that has Neil deGrasse Tyson as the main author, but then down below in like a secondary author it has with James Trefle. So he's seems to be pretty well known.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the book. Okay. Moving on. So Ian Chen is trying to debate Matt Paul. Oh my God, Ian. Oh my God, Ian. Oh, keep us posted on that.
Yeah, and wear a dress and lots of
oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I was going to get a sexy geologist outfit with a dress, with a little short skirt and everything, but I don't think anybody wants to see that shit.
Yeah, for some reason I want to tear my eyes out right now.
When we look at an object that is very, very far away, if we assume the constancy of speed of light, when it made that emission, like say if it made the emission like say 13.5 billion years ago, it takes light that long to travel to reach us. It also has an associated redshift with it. Now, the Big Bang guys will say it's caused by the redshift is caused by an expanding universe. The anti-Big Bang will say it's another mechanism, like say electron plasmas, free electron plasmas. And I've covered in.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, he's bringing up this whole plasma redshift thing. I just want to note that it's not the only alternative that's been come up with. None of the other ones work except expanding space, of course. But
Right.
He's bringing up this thing with like how they supposedly found that light was redshifted as it interacted with free electrons and other charged particles in like the solar atmosphere or something like that. And okay, good job there. We already knew that redshift can come from other sources beyond just cosmic expansion. So,
and what difference?
Not the reason we think the universe is expanding.
What difference does it make to him? I mean, what is he trying to prove? So it turned out to be something else, and there was no expansion. That the universe was just really, really big. I don't know. So I mean, if that were the case, Andrew, what would that do for Cell's position? What is he trying to prove here?
I think, like I said, in his mind, he's probably heard the redshift expansion thing enough times that he thinks redshift and expansion are like intimately, like you need one for the other, or the universe to be expanding for you to have redshift, which
but I mean,
true.
If the universe weren't expanding, how would that lend to his creationist position? How would that turn into a younger, so
he seems to really have like dead set against cosmic expansion for some reason.
Well, he's dead set against any standard cosmological theory, including the formation of solar systems. Okay.
Oh, really?
He said, he doesn't think they can form because he said, how would they end up being a disk or something like that?
What?
On one of his, he's
okay.
Like
basic. Oh my gosh.
He talks about this book on the formation, basically formation of the solar system that he found in around 2000 when he was in college. And I have that book, and that book is all about how solar systems form. But for Cell, it's all about how they can't form, about all the problems with it. And and in that book, he very clearly tells you why it turns into a disk, with.
Apparently he didn't read that part.
No, you didn't read that part, apparently. So
what have I been saying about the way he approaches things, about the way he reads things?
Yeah.
Well, apparently he's never read of conservation of angular momentum before either.
Right. He's very skewed and wants to, interpret everything in light of young Earth creationism.
Well, he sees it through Cherry Field's colored glasses.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't bring that up.
For the audience's sake, I'll just briefly explain it. It's basically the same thing as when you throw a lump of pizza dough into the air. It naturally
Yeah.
forms a disc because it's easier to kind of form that shape than to kind of rotate and stay as a spheroid. So
Okay, a
that's
fucking
the same
pizza
thing with
maker knows this, and Cell, who supposedly has a degree in physics, doesn't. I don't get that. I mean, go down
Or
to
sorry, not my bad, not galaxies, solar systems.
yeah, solar system. Go down to Papa John's and and have them explain it to you if Cell can't.
Right.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna need to take a tranquilizer.
On this channel, reasons that it probably is the free electron plasmas. We have experimental and observational evidence that that electromagnetic waves get redshifted when they pass through clouds of electrons.
So,
And if we look at all of free space as basically being one giant cloud of free electrons, it's going to be
What?
I would actually like Sal. He may have, but I would like Sal to explain to me whether the difference between redshift and interstellar reddening, because I have a feeling that this plasma redshift is just the light appears redder, but the spectral lines, which is what you actually use to find like the Doppler or the cosmological redshift, that those aren't actually shifted toward the red end of the spectrum. I could be wrong, but I would like to see Sal explain that, because I have a feeling he may not understand the difference there.
Yeah, if you listen to what he just said, it's like he's overturned cosmology. Just
Right.
like all the current. I don't know where these people get off.
Wait, Rebecca says Roger Penrose disputes cosmic expansion.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he supposedly has something against the Big Bang, and actually, Roger Penrose has a very bizarre theory about cosmic expansion that involves some sort of a shift in scales.
Yeah,
so that
she's probably referring to his conformal cyclic cosmology, but even then, it doesn't preclude the Big Bang at all. So I don't know what she's talking about there.
And Penrose doesn't have a lot of buy-in. So Rebecca's here? Is that what you said?
Oh, no, Jerry was saying Rebecca said that.
Oh, okay.
Would be nice if Rebecca showed up, though.
Yeah, well, Cell says it over and over again. He brings it up in this broadcast and a few others that Roger Penrose, has basically shot all kinds of holes in the Big Bang. I don't think that's the case.
To deny that possibility. And I'm going to cover some observational evidence that is starting to continue to erode the credibility of the Big Bang. I mean, I've been when I was through grad school and talking to people, and like I said, I had professors in my school that are secular professors. They're not creationists at all. They think the Big Bang's totally wrong. And they don't necessarily have an alternative model naturalistically. Like, the creationists, young Earth creationists will postulate miraculous.
So he's been talking about this for about a year now, and I'm wondering who these professors are and what these problems that they're finding, and who's shooting holes in the Big Bang. And he mentions a bunch of names in the original broadcast he did on this about a year and a half ago, I think, maybe a year ago. You know which one I'm referring to, where he came out and started talking about the Big Bang, about his professors and how he found all these guys that were against the Big Bang. Yeah, okay. But we should look a little further into that and see what they're really on about. Because
you can skip this part, honestly, because he's basically saying, oh, well, while I was in grad school, I predicted it would, or I saw it coming. It would be slowly eroded away. And good for you.
When he was talking to Rebecca and I think Danish Debater, he said, he admitted that phylogeny basically really supports evolution about 6 times. I have links for every time he admits it. And then he says, there's a lot of things we don't know, and we're just going to have to wait on the Lord. It's like, wait a minute, what
What?
the fuck? Okay, what is the Lord doing right now that he can't come down and straighten these scientists out? Why do we have to wait on the Lord? I mean, why is it going to take the Lord another 20, 30 years to give us the evidence for young Earth creationism? That's what he says. He said, we got to wait on the Lord. Yeah.
I take that as like a basic example of hand waving right there.
Yeah, we got to wait on the Lord. It's like, oh, we just got to wait a little longer, and he thinks it's right around the corner. Like, but I'm thinking, okay, so the Lord was really busy for 2,000 years, and now he's just starting to free up. You know, he's just tightening up a few loose ends, and pretty soon he's going to get to this whole problem, and he's going to straighten these scientists out. Like, what do you mean it's right around the corner, but we got to wait on the Lord? So that implies that the Lord is getting ready to tell us. he's he's
doesn't it kind of imply he's like temporarily constrained or something? I don't know.
I guess so. He's putting his tools away from the last project, right? And he's going to get to this next project. We just have to wait a little bit longer, and the Lord will show us. Lordy.
Instantaneous creation, but these secular guys will postulate, maybe some mechanisms we haven't resolved, except to say it definitely is an expanding space for the Big Bang. So I'm going to cover a little bit of some of the things that have emerged recently, and it was brought to my attention by Mr. Jetty89, and it's really powerful, and I'm going to cover it some more in my academic channel. And I had to kind of learn this, and guys, I take no offense if I get some of this wrong. I'm kind of struggling through this.
You want me to go?
So someone had mentioned that
James Calculator. Most of it wrong.
You want me to keep rolling, or you want me to move ahead?
Yeah, just keep rolling for now.
About the James Webb telescope, James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, and he said the James Webb Space Telescope that just took some images with higher redshift. So you'll hear numbers like redshift of 1, 1.5, all the way up to infinity. The most that I've heard has been like redshifts of 20. And so you can convert the redshift into the distance of the star at the time, or the galaxy, or whatever, that it made the electromagnetic emission. So when we see something at very high redshift, we could say that it's really, really high redshift, that we're looking at an object where it was about 13.5, 13.6 billion light years away. It's since moved on since making that emission, but its position when it made the emission, according to Big Bang Theory, would translate into a certain distance in light years, which also translates into the number of years back in time that supposedly we're looking into. And there's problems with that interpretation, but let's just at least understand the language of this. So
there are problems, but we don't hear any mention of them.
You want to unpack any of that?
No, pretty good so far. Okay. Let's see. Maybe should we? Well, yeah, just keep going. Or
if something is,
or just saying. Okay, Jerry is saying Rebecca says James Webb proves the Big Bang false. Do you know what she said specifically? Because that's an interesting claim.
It's very interesting. It's like I've literally heard nobody saying that. But
can you put that one back up on the screen? Put that on the screen. I don't know where that is. That was Jerry Pena?
Yeah, he just said it a minute ago.
Minute. Oh, okay.
Rebecca also says James Webb.
Oh, James Webb proves. Oh my God. Oh, Rebecca.
I'd really like to hear what she said specifically, because
in 3 weeks, right? We proved it false now. Yeah, they found a really early galaxy that is going to change some of their ideas about galaxy formation, is what I heard.
Yeah,
like one that's 3 million years old or something like that. And that was the one that they're focusing on, and it's just gonna change models, which is kind of what. It's why we sent the fucking telescope up there.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's this Cosmo Calc by Ned Wright. It can convert the redshift into a distance. So, like, let's say that it has a redshift of 0.
You can skip ahead a little bit. He explains it. Okay.
7 point. It should. Is that right? 13 point. Can someone add that up? Approximately. And the most redshift that I've heard is like redshift of 16, and that's getting very, very close to the beginning.
Well,
So I don't know how high.
What is he referring to? Redshift of 16.
that's
16.
kind of the highest redshift for the galaxies we've observed so far, but it isn't the highest redshift of anything.
But what is the metric there? What does it mean? 16 what? 16.
It may be an index kind of number or something.
It's
Yeah,
shifting.
It's just a number to measure.
It's got to be in frequency, right, or something like frequency.
No, it's. Yeah,
We don't
I
know.
don't know how to explain it.
I don't know.
Hang on a second.
That's how it's measured.
Randolph found something for me. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Thank you, Randolph. I looked forever. I could not find it.
You know, I looked at a place, at one of those places where you really shouldn't get books from, and
Amazon.
I didn't find that book there either,
Oh no.
which is sad because I wanted to sneak a peek at that chapter.
Oh. Yeah, it could, because that would be a faster way to see it. But
Yeah.
I bought it like full price from Amazon, so I'll probably get it day after tomorrow. So they're freaky fast. Sometimes you get stuff like an hour after you order. But
I'm supposed to get a book tomorrow called the Counter Revolution of 1836 about Texas, history of Texas.
my little kitty has disappeared. I think he finally passed out. He's been running around for like 2 days without stopping.
But that's good.
Well,
Yeah, it's like
such a new environment. Everything is new and exciting and has to be played with or scratched or chewed.
oh my God, he's playing with everything, every little tiny piece of dirt, everything. It's just, but like if you were babysitting for a 2-year-old, okay, that was still in diapers, and you filled the 2-year-old's baby powder up with pure cocaine, 100% uncut cocaine, that's what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, my son's new puppy, the French bulldog, behaves the same way.
Yeah.
She's just one little dynamo. The biggest dog in the house is afraid of her.
Yeah.
And so she just gets up there, and if you got if one of the dogs has like loose skin somewhere, she's chewing on it. She's just like,
Yeah.
and they're just miserable, and they can't get aggressive with it because the humans would get onto them.
Yeah. So this cat was at my sister's yesterday, and they have a little handful of dog that looks like an old man. I think I showed a picture of it on the stream before, and he absolutely loved Snack. So they were playing, and then there were 2 other dogs. So Snack was being pursued by 3 dogs, 4 really crabby cats, and 2 cats that wanted to play with it, and running back and forth all day long without stopping, and finally passed out. So I think the cat needs sleep. They had a good time.
Cool.
High the redshift would have to go. I'm just gonna go to 40 to see. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's based on the Big Bang
What is
model,
he calculating?
and that's just so we can I could show you how I arrived at some of the numbers. Depending on what model you have, you'll get different results. So now I'm going to have to pause a little bit as I have to scurry to get the, let's see. So let me get rid of some windows here.
I'll link that in the
Yeah.
description, that Cosmo Calculator, for anybody who's interested.
Just trying to get rid of some windows here. So I could
Oh, hey, Mr.
thing
Wizard.
that I really want, which was, what's his name? Alan Lerner. So let me get this. I want to give a hat tip to
Okay.
Mr. Jetty89, and let me see if I could find it. One moment, I have to look.
Ellen Werner? Who's that? Who's he talking about?
He's referring to Eric Lerner. how to describe Eric Lerner. He's not a cosmologist, that's for sure. He doesn't accept the standard cosmological models. Instead, he's proposed this idea called plasma cosmology.
Okay.
Which
Oh,
the basic idea is basically, instead of gravitational interactions, electromagnetic forces are dominant at large scales, which we know is false. We have numerous ways of showing it to be false, but yeah,
I
he's
put his
pushing that kind of alternative model, shall we say.
wiki entry in the description. Let's see if Cell put anything in the description. Here's got a few things. Nope, he doesn't. Sister channel. If you feel this channel has blessed you or others, you're invited to donate. How do you feel about that? Do you feel blessed?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I think
Moving
my
on.
money would be spent better
On a book.
supporting other channels.
Yeah. Jason
er-
Jacoby.
So respond to Eric's comment, is the electric universe? It kind of sort of, they're related. They're not exactly the same models, I think, but the basic idea, like I just said, is the same. So kind of sort of.
Yeah. So
It's the same level of pseudoscience, to be sure.
yeah. So Cell seems to be all about the conspiracy theory in cosmology. So BA in physics in Columbia University, Lawrenceville plasma physics. Let's see, plasma phenomena. Big Bang never happened. Okay. So, well, I linked it in the description for anybody to check out. So
Yeah, and there are many people who've tackled his claims and showed them to be false, like Professor Ned Wright, I believe is his name.
okay. Oh, Ned Wright is the one that did the Cosmo Calculator that Cell just had up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I linked that in the description too. So, okay. Got some dead air.
He sent me like 50 emails here, and I have to sort through it.
Why is he so close to the camera? Why do we have to look at the lower half of his face up close?
Open letter on cosmology.
Oh yeah, the open letter on
This was
cosmology.
in 2004 when I was considering young Earth creationism. And it says, the Big Bang today relies on a growing number of hypothetical entities, things that we have never observed. Inflation, dark matter, dark energy are the most prominent examples. Without them, there would be a fatal contradiction between the observations made by astronomers and the predictions of the Big Bang theory. In no other field of physics would this continual recourse to new hypothetical objects be accepted as a way of bridging the gap between theory and observation. It would at least raise serious questions about the validity of the underlying theory. And I could go on, but let me just point out some of the people who signed this. Minas Kafatos.
I just want to point out Holton Arp is also
Minas
on
Kafatos.
the list there.
He's what?
Holton Arp is also on the list there, and he also came up with an alternative explanation for redshift, so to speak.
Okay. So there it is. I will link that in the description.
Oh, great. Rebecca is really just parroting what Sal's saying on cosmology. We gotta have a talk with her at some point.
Yeah, Rebecca. I've been trying to steer Rebecca back into common sense, but so far she's been rebuffing my attempts. So, but I'm working on her. We're going to turn her into a old Earth creationist. Before,
yeah, eventually, yeah.
Before I die, that's my goal. Okay.
That's a decent goal.
So Holton Arp, Max Planck. Okay.
The Max
right
Planck Institute.
Yeah.
George Mason University.
Yeah. Let's do credentials. Jesus Christ, he does credentials.
Malavika Roy at George Mason and Cicero Roy. Letter that was organized by Eric Lerner. And so just hold that thought for a while. I'm going to reintroduce Eric Lerner in light of the James Webb Telescope.
And show that he doesn't understand what he's going to talk about.
Here. Let's see if I can get it. Yes.
Or at least not this part.
And this is, I may get some of the details incorrect here, but you can get this video.
One of the first things that James Webb Space Telescope has discovered, or the data.
Okay, so I may get some of the details wrong, but I'm going to show you the problem. So we had this James Webb Telescope.
Okay, Dannykins.
And took some of these pictures of high
Yep.
redshift galaxies.
Okay,
Okay,
so
I do want to note that what he's going to explain in a minute, he actually does a fairly good job of, but then again, he is reading the Wikipedia page on it.
So the wiki
but then he
guy
kinda
did
goes
a
off
good job.
that with it. So
Eric Lerner has a YouTube site, or no, well, somebody does. The Big Bang never happened, so he's got a big thing on his book. I'll link one of them anyway. I think this one is, this is introduction 21 to 26. I don't know. So somebody does a real in-depth thing on it, but I'm trying to find the video that he's referring to right here. Anybody have any clues for me?
I
Panic.
think the channel is LPPFusion, maybe.
Okay, Panic and Censorship in Cosmology. Could that be a clue? It says at the top.
Yeah, I think that's the title, isn't it?
Yeah. Why is it at the top? Panic and Censorship. Okay, so should I roll while I'm trying to look this up?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to this. There's this thing called the Tolman surface brightness test.
Yep.
So let me try to uncoil this. If we had kind of like intuitively a Euclidean non-expanding universe, the surface brightness would be invariant across distance. And what I mean by that is, the farther the object is, the smaller it will be, in your field of view. But it would still have the number of photons emitting from it per square inch. So surface brightness is number of, you can roughly say number of photons per square inch. Number of photons per square inch. The Big Bang predicts that the surface brightness will decrease in this non-Euclidean expanding space geometry. And I'm going to first point out an anomaly that
So it's within the range of brightest ones.
is in Wikipedia, but this was
it is
kind of
right.
a kind of a slanted explanation, but it's better than nothing. So there's this thing, the Wikipedia entry called the Tolman surface brightness test. So why don't I just read it? And this is like in the spirit of nerd torture. This is not the most polished thing, but when I do these nerd tortures, it's also educating me and kind of trying to be very, just seeing what's out there. Okay, so Danish debater asks about the square law, and I'm going to fumble through this, and if I don't give you straight answers, just understand it's because I don't necessarily understand it that well. I invited Leo Filias to do a discussion on my academic channel. He's on the other side, but it's like, let's see if we can just uncoil and understand what the problems are. So there's this Wikipedia entry on the Tolman surface brightness test. The Tolman surface brightness test is one out of 6 cosmological tests that were conceived in the 1930s to check the validity of and compare new cosmological models. Tolman's test compares the surface brightness of galaxies as a function of redshift. And so surface brightness is, again, number of photons per square inch, or something like that. Such a comparison was first proposed in 1930 by Richard Tolman as a test whether the universe is expanding or static. In a simple static flat universe, the light received from an object drops.
Brief announcement. I found 3 parts to this video, part 1, 2, and 3, and I posted them in the description. So it is LPPFusion. So
proportional to the square of its distance, and the apparent area of the object also drops proportional to the square of the distance. So the surface brightness, the light received per surface area, would be constant, independent of the distance.
That is correct.
Independent of the distance. In an expanding universe, however, there are 2 effects that change this relation. First, the rate at which the photons are received is reduced because each photon has to travel a little farther than the one before. Second, the energy of each photon observed is reduced by the redshift. At the same time, distant objects appear larger than they really are because the photons observed were emitted at the time when the object was closer. Adding these effects together, the surface brightness in a simple expanding universe, flat geometry, and uniform expansion over a range of redshifts should be observed to decrease with the fourth power of 1 plus z. And I interpret that as you could say 1 plus, it'd be like something like 1 over 1 plus z to the 4th, plus some scaling factor. I mean, times some scaling factor. Oh, Schnoil, thank you. Schnoil did an addition for me.
The wiki article is also linked in the description on the Tolman surface brightness.
Well, all right, you might want to pull that up for a second here.
Okay.
Because that might be useful for what he's about to say.
Okay. You want to see it now or?
After he's done.
Okay. Got it.
Work. It's supposed to be 13.721. So, okay, I got my math mostly right then. That makes me, thank you, Schnoil. God bless you. So, I hope that kind of answered your question, Danish debater. That's the best that I could do. Just go to Wikipedia. Now, the first problem is the exponent found is not 4, as expected in the simplest expanding model, but 2.6 or 3.4. And by the way, Eric Lerner has said it's not even as good as 2.6 or 3.4.
Oh,
With some data he had like maybe a decade or more ago. But with this James Webb Space Telescope, it's really, really bad. All right, so if I'm not giving the most complete answer, it's because
Okay,
this
pause for a second.
Yep.
Let's pull up that page and note what he didn't show, or should I say didn't cover.
Yeah. Kind of like.
All right. Go down a little bit.
Hold on a minute. Let me get the right view.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go.
Okay, where you want to go?
Right. This is the real crux of why the supposed issue he's covering isn't really an issue for Big Bang cosmology. All right, go down a little bit more.
Okay.
All right. So that's where he showed the 2.6 and 3.4, and he did a good job of explaining it. Give him props for that. And so yes, well, if the universe is in a simple and static universe, which isn't expanding, we expect the surface brightness over a distance to be roughly constant. In an expanding universe, we expect it to decrease rapidly. So he got that right. But notice the quote he didn't go over, which is where this result came from. So go down a little bit more. All right. So the authors say, we show that this is precisely the range expected from the evolutionary models of Bruzual and Charlotte. We conclude that the Tolman surface brightness test is consistent with the reality of the expansion. In other words, when you take into account how galaxies evolve, because galaxies, their surface brightness isn't constant through distance. Like you have spiral galaxies, you have irregular galaxies, elliptical galaxies. Like galaxies are not standard candles, basically. They're not the same surface brightness for all of them. However, as the authors note here, when we take into account how galaxies evolve, how they differ in their star formation rates, basically the evolutionary models he's talking about here, because we know how stars change over time, we can pretty accurately model them, at least in simple situations like elliptical galaxies, which is what some of these previous tests of the Tolman surface brightness tests were conducted on, because basically elliptical galaxies don't tend to form a lot of stars, or at least not nowadays, so we can model them a bit more easily than, say, a spiral galaxy that's forming a lot of stars very quickly in certain stages and not in others. But basically what they're noting here is when you take into account these evolutionary models of how galaxies and stars form and change over time, the results you get are consistent with the assumptions of that and of cosmic expansion. And Sal conveniently ignored that part, or
I can't believe that he missed
that part carefully enough, or just, but that's the crux of what he's about to go over pretty much.
Okay, it's right on the bottom there. It says right there. He was almost there, and he quit reading.
Didn't show it.
Oh my goodness! Why would he do that?
I don't know.
I don't know why he would do that.
And I should note he's about to go into Eric Lerner with the James Webb Space Telescope. It's the same thing here. Like he's comparing nearby galaxies with these really distant galaxies, which we know aren't the same as the nearby ones. So the Tolman surface brightness test, it's not a very simple analysis like he's portraying it here. It's very complicated. You have to take many things into account. And Eric Lerner didn't.
Does it have to do with the fact that we're observing galaxies that are like way back in time? We're seeing them. Yeah.
Yeah. The earliest galaxies, they were a lot smaller, more compact. They tended to be forming stars much more quickly than today's galaxy. Like a bunch of properties that distinguish them from the local galaxies we see today. In other words, the galaxies around us today. So you can't just naively compare the surface brightness of galaxies in the local universe and the distant universe and call it a done deal saying Big Bang cosmology is debunked. Like, it's not as simple as that. And the authors of these other papers note that it was very difficult to come up with these results, taking all these different factors into account, all these models of how stars and galaxies evolve over time. So, yeah.
So before you launch into your next year of college and you get into your physics classes, you should read what Stephanie Trenton wrote here for you.
All galaxies are in the very center.
Focus.
I don't know what she means exactly.
Well, okay, when you're like, okay, every day go sit out on a stump and meditate on this. Okay.
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 I'll try to do that. Okay.
And if you figure out what the fuck she's on about, call us.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, beautiful poetry, Stephanie. We do appreciate you. We do appreciate you.
Work out all the numbers. So,
pause.
But what we want is just imagine that you did have like a big bright disk.
God.
And you take that same, and you have copies of this disk. If you take that big bright disk and put it in various locations in the history of the universe, you'd be able to do the surface brightness test because you have a known copy of an object. Now that's the pure thought experiment. So what you're counting on is that the galaxies across time.
He even explains the issue right there. Galaxies near and far aren't the same. We can presuppose they are, but like.
Wasn't he kind of claiming that they are? Isn't his thought experiment that these are the same?
Yes, but yeah, exactly. He's assuming they are when astronomers know they aren't.
Right, because they're not. Because we're looking back in time.
It's why Eric Lerner and Sal here are just naively. I don't know how else to put it other than that because they're oversimplifying the issue here like too much. Like what's going on here?
It's okay to call him an idiot.
I try not to, but
I know you do.
I'm just gonna call him naive at this point.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm taking the low road myself with this guy.
But I hope everyone can see the issue here. What Sal is missing.
Yeah.
If not, let me know and I'll try and explain it a little better. But
right. I've been trying to have this talk with him, but he has blocked me he blocked all of my accounts again. So now he's not even, and I know he sees them because if you block somebody's account, you still get a message and you can see what they actually wrote on comments. But he's ignoring me about this get together we're supposed to have.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I'm a little miffed with him, and so I'll just call him an idiot. But that's just me.
Certain properties, you're going to guess within reason that they're about the same size or comparably. What's really bad is that to get this surface brightness test, we have this thing. It's called GHZ2, and let me see. I don't know if you gave a redshift figure.
Did we already see this?
I don't think so.
Okay, I guess I saw it somewhere else.
See that? It's 13. I think this is it. Surface brightness test and radius are still constant to z equals 13. So there's this thing called the mighty, he calls it the Mighty Mouse galaxy. All right. You could look this up. It's called the Price, Panic, and Censorship in Cosmology, JWST and the Fusion Energy Connection.
Yeah,
So
I
you
did.
can look that up. If I had,
I looked it up for you guys. Sel should have linked it in his description, but he didn't. I did in mine. So
if I remember to put it in the video description, I will.
yeah, you didn't.
So I wish he used nicer units here, and just instead of 6 kiloparsecs, he made it 6,000, and then you had 90. You can say then that this galaxy has to be only 90 parsecs across, and he points out this is like what would that be? 600 times, 600 times, roughly 600 times our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, no wait, hang on. Strike that. I totally botched this. If it were like a static universe, this would be 6 kiloparsecs across. Whereas in the Big Bang, it's only 90 parsecs across. So 6,000 versus 90. And I don't know how wide our galaxy is. But anyway, the luminosity would be about the same, but this one would be very compact. And like the surface brightness observed nearby, this would have to be a galaxy that's like I said, about 600 times brighter than anything near us. It's just gigantic, tremendous amount. And also the volume, you can see this would be the brightness per volume is just
Okay. Do you know what he's going on about? Can you unpack any of this for us?
It gets into the mathematics a little bit, but it's pretty much what I just talked about.
Okay.
enormous.
I'm
Okay,
aware.
so this is, like I said, this is kind of a clunky analysis because this is so quick and I'm just getting acquainted with this. So let me see if there's anything. And he'll go on to say that this is causing problems in cosmology. So the responsible thing to do is to examine this more and talk about it. I'm just throwing it out there for now and saying, okay, I know enough to say that this is a big problem, and we can examine it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And this came from James Webb, like recent observations in the last month or so?
I guess so.
Okay. Well, one would have to watch those 3 torturous videos on that. Judging by the name, Panic and Censorship in Cosmology, I'm guessing that you don't want to watch it. But we probably will anyway.
More detail.
Okay, where does he go next?
I think he makes one other, like we don't have to keep going because he doesn't really
Okay.
elaborate on it that much. He just says, oh, Big Bang is wrong, this and that. The one other thing he mentions is what he went over before last time I talked to him about this supposed lack of observed time dilation in supernova light curves, which I'm still suspect about, but as I've dived deeper into it and questioned the experts about it, it turns out that we actually have evidence of time dilation beyond just supernova light curves, like how the spectra changes over the history of the supernova event going off also exhibits time dilation in agreement with the light curves. And I don't know if Crawford, the guy he's talking about here, has ever gone over that. But yeah, we have multiple different lines of evidence that this time dilation is real. We actually have some evidence that despite what he says about quasars, it is somewhat apparent in active galactic nuclei. So I honestly don't know what he's going on here about no time dilation whatsoever, because it is clearly observed. And I think he talks about it being like cherry picked data basically, and
Yeah.
I think he's probably misunderstanding what Crawford is saying. Yeah, that's just what I have to say about that.
Okay. I'm not sure what else does he do here?
So suffice it to say, we have multiple ways of checking whether the universe indeed is expanding beyond just the redshift, and they all agree with each other. So Sal is going to have a hard time here.
Oh, Dr. Joel's there. Dr. Joel did a really good Creation Week video here in the last couple of days.
Oh,
So-
yeah, he did one on non-standard genetic codes, right?
I know that was really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Yep. And it was another interesting. Oh my God, their articles are so bad in that Answers in Genesis. And I get all those. We should go over more of them. It might be fun sometime.
Yeah.
But I found a new guy, David Goza. Does anybody know David Goza?
Nope, never heard of him.
Goza.
Goza. Yeah.
I don't know. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, David Goza is a recent subscriber to Answers in Atheism, and that's him right there.
Oh, he's Gandalf.
Yeah, and he does Sunday school lessons with the atheist codger. What are you hiding from yourself, Kent? He's got a lot of content. He's got about 2,000 subs. I will link his channel in our description for anybody who's not aware of him. So I was not aware of him.
He needs a staff.
He does. He looks great.
What did you say his first name was?
David Goza.
Thanks, David.
Goza. Yeah. And I'll put a link to his website, to his thing.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all the cosmology stuff we have right now, right?
Okay. Yeah, there's a whole other video that I went through in detail. Which one was it? It was with, I think it was Rebecca and Data's Debater. And I have about 15 minutes left. And I think we're going to cover that this week on Weather Report and other. Of course, you're not going to be able to join us anymore, are you?
Unless you do it on the weekends. But yeah, it might be a pretty busy schedule for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll do stuff on the weekends with you. We'll cover it. But anyway, so he goes on.
Sorry, everyone. The audience, I might be gone for quite a bit from Answers in Atheism.
Yeah, you got to work. You got to do some real work.
I gotta.
Real job. College.
Gotta pay that rent.
Move forward for my goal.
Yeah. I gotta find Snack. I lost my kitty. Where did he go?
Oh yeah, you gotta show Snack on before we go off.
I can't find Snack.
Loki probably ate him for a.
Yeah, Loki. Well, oh God, Loki. Ever since I come home, Loki has been under the waterbed, and he hisses at me and growls and will not talk to Snack. And Thor won't come in the room, the main room, but he sits on the steps, and Snack jumps on Thor and runs over him, and Thor just looks at him. But Loki is like so pissed off right now that I can't even get near him. I tried to give him, some party time, and he just hissed at me and growled at me.
Oh my!
Oh.
You have really ticked off your longtime residents.
Yep, and they think, okay, this is going to be temporary. Like tomorrow we're going to wake up, and Snack is not going to be there, and tomorrow they're going to wake up, and Snack is the first thing that's going to come jumping on them.
Have you ever kept anybody else's pets? In your house for some reason?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we kept them caged. We kept them caged in a room. We had a gate.
Oh, okay.
And he was an escape artist too. But my cats were just unbelievably curious, right? Like they wanted to get in there. But they haven't really had a lot of company, so they haven't had a lot of training.
Yeah, you just upset the whole balance of everything.
Oh, yeah, and I wanted to because they've been sort of emo lately, like, oh, what's life? What's it about? I mean, they haven't, I thought I'd shake things up a little bit. Of course, that's what they said when they ran Trump for the Republican candidate.
Yeah, they've been reading Sylvia Plath and
let's shake it up.
Listening to who's that guy? I can't remember. Kurt Cobain. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to show Snack. I'm sorry. He's when he goes to sleep, he finds a hidey hole that nobody can. So far, I've not been able to find him when he disappeared.
Well, luckily, we know he exists because you did show him before the stream. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Speed has not gone crazy and imagined a little imaginary fuzzy playmate.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I do have some imaginary fuzzy playmates that I totally imagine, but we're not going to talk about them.
Yeah, we won't deal with those.
Yeah. Anyway, that other video with Danish debaters. So Cell keeps talking about zinc fingers, and boy, Cell, there's a whole lot that Cell does not tell you about zinc fingers, and I think we should tell people the rest of the story.
Tell the rest of the story because background knowledge is really what they're banking on. They're banking on people's lack of background knowledge and their
he shows one zinc finger protein.
Yeah.
ZNF 136. Okay. What about the other 699 or the other tens of thousands across every single kingdom? Yeah,
as we've seen today, he apparently does that with other fields as well.
Shut up. Siri interrupted us.
Yep. Sorry.
Anyway, we'll get into that in some detail. And he does a bunch of other things where he really, oh God, he tries to sound like he's such a professional and he really knows what he's talking about. And then you look just beneath the surface and his shit falls apart.
Yep. That's, and they're depending on the isolated nature of their community, who's just, I'm just gonna trust what this person says because they're a nice, honest, sincere person. They love the Lord, and they're trying to be a better person. So what they say about science is smart, and not realizing that there's a whole lot of background knowledge that's being left out, and maybe you should go to the actual experts and get your information.
How did this evolve? And we're waiting on God to show us, that creation is true. That's God. So, that sums it up. So I think we're going to end for the day.
Okay.
So thank you, everybody out there in chat.
It was nice to see y'all stop by.
Everyone.
A whole bunch of you stopped by, and I really appreciate that.
We do.
And I can't read your chats, and I do read them. But, I don't pay a lot of attention because in general, I think you could say that about me in life in general. I don't pay a lot of attention. So. Anyway, okay. Ending it.
Bye.
Goodbye, all. Thank you, Andrew, very much for doing this. Okay.
Yep. No problem.
Goodbye, cruel world.